Say this, but we'll give Trump credit. The big grift has reached unprecedented heights in what the New York Times describes as an astonishing escalation of the Trump family's efforts to profit from crypto. Donald Trump is offering exclusive access to those willing to pay up and buy into his meme coin. Trump offered the top 220 investors in the coin a seat at the private dinner at his golf club in Virginia. The coin is a business entity linked to Trump, who owns a large tranche of the coins, meaning the president personally profits every time the price or value increases, at least on paper. Trump and his business partners also collect fees when the coins are traded, a windfall that amounted to nearly $100 million in the weeks after the coin debuted in January. Now, when news of the dinner invitation spread on social media, the meme coin's price surged more than 70%. Corey Frayer, who oversaw crypto policy for the SEC during the Biden years, said this, quote, "This is really incredible. They are making the pay-to-play deal explicit." Joining us now, technology reporter for the New York Times, David Yaffe-Bellany, who is bylined on that reporting we read from. David Gura is here as well. Just for the out of the loop and uninformed, just take me through how this works for anyone, and then we'll deal with how it works for an American president, if you don't mind.
So a meme coin is a pretty controversial type of cryptocurrency. It doesn't have any real function beyond speculation. It's based on an online joke or a celebrity mascot. And meme coins get launched every day, hundreds of them. It's very easy to do. You can do it in a few clicks. And just a few days before the inauguration, Trump launched one of his own.
So, David, tell me what the reporting adds to our understanding of what Trump did before inauguration. How is he sort of turning up the volume on the grift?
So when the meme coin was initially launched, this raised a lot of concerns with ethics experts, because clearly this presents a new avenue for people to channel money into the president's pockets and potentially try to maneuver for access to the White House through that avenue. But all of this was kind of implicit in the proposal. What this news about the dinner does is make that completely explicit. If you're in the top 220 investors in this meme coin, then you get access to the president. You get to sit with him at a dinner and go on a VIP tour of the website. And so it's sort of saying the quiet part out loud.
So this is what Richard Painter said on the SEC punting on any kind of oversight. And he was the ethics advisor when I worked in the White House. He said, quote, "This is, I guess, going to be the new approach, hands off crypto, not enforcing fraud. And I don't think it's going to end well." That's Richard Painter, a law professor at the University of Minnesota, an ethics lawyer for the George W. Bush administration. Quote, "The SEC is going to back off because that's what the Trump administration wants, or whatever enforcement they are able to do. I think it's a very worrisome situation." What stops every elected official, Republican and Democratic, from doing this?
I mean, the fear is there really isn't anything to stop them. Under Biden, the SEC was incredibly aggressive in policing crypto, but that stopped. And so it's sort of hard to believe that the SEC in this current administration is going to go after these cases with any aggression. And in fact, the SEC has already declared that this specific type of cryptocurrency, the meme coin, is outside of its purview.
I mean, David Gura, this is so antithetical to the public trust, to the separation of profiting off of your post in public service, off the American presidency. And this is, for us, our third story. I haven't seen this get a lot of attention. What's your sense of why that's the case?
We started off the show talking about blinking, and here it's winking. If you look at the fine print on this website, I mean, it's wild to pick up on what David was saying just a moment ago. They're very explicit that we shouldn't think of these as a currency or an investable stock-like object. We were to think of them as kind of a memento to show our affection for the president. That's how they're characterized, as kind of a collectible. But what was wild to me is if you look at sort of what they're offering here, it's to go to the golf club, have dinner, and then, quote, hear firsthand President Trump talk about the future of crypto. And that's another layer to the bizarreness of this, which, you know, for the first term, he was such a crypto skeptic. This was not something that he believed in. He cast doubt on it. He espoused his love for the dollar above all else. And now he's done a complete reversal because of the fact that he's figured out he can make money off of this with pretty seeming ease. So what would he say about the future of crypto? I have no idea, other than the fact that it seems to be working out pretty well for him and for Eric Trump, who's running this part of the business, and for Barron Trump, who's also working for a crypto business that the Trumps have going as well. So it's a very effective mechanism for them to make money. And as your colleague Stephanie Ruhle has pointed out, this is really the first time that Donald Trump has been like a bona fide legitimate billionaire. He's made a ton of money off of this. And you can look back on his past career, and there was money in real estate, and all of that was so highly levered. He, for the first time, is amassing a huge sum of wealth because of the dabbling that he's doing in this space.
And I'm just thinking of all of the things that Republicans investigated the Bidens for mixing government service and business. I mean, where is Congress? Where is oversight? Where are the ethics advisors?
I mean, it's been a long-standing story that Congress, despite some happy talk from some members, hasn't done much when it comes to cryptocurrency. So much faith was placed in the SEC during President Biden's term. That's now gone out the window. There is a new SEC chairman. Paul Atkins is in that job, and we've had this interim chair who relaxed the rules that David was talking about a moment ago. But this is part of the broader story of the hollowing out of the regulatory apparatus in Washington, and Congress will still talk about creating some tailored legislation for stable coins or some other niche cryptocurrency. But there's nothing broad coming, and it's a president who's acting with a lot of impunity, legal and otherwise. I think recognizing the fact that there are fewer cops on the beat and the likelihood of being caught for doing anything untoward or illegal is much smaller. And then, of course, as the Supreme Court decided, there's just kind of blanket immunity that he has as well.
It just leaves us where every other story does, with a political reaction and whether or not the country really wants this.